Hi Soul Seekers! So welcome back to another pick a card. Apologies for not having done one in so long. I've actually really missed doing this. I honestly don't know what it is, but ask anybody that does some of these pick a cards. It feels so good channeling into all these 1001 different energies and kind of consolidating it into like a slipstream where you fit into, let's say, 3 categories, 4 categories, whatever. So no, I really missed it. And so what I'm doing now is, this is your Akashic Records for June, everything the Akashic Records wants to tell you about June. Then after this pick a card video, I'm doing another pick a card video, which is basically going to be your horoscopes for June. And with that, I encourage you to go with whatever you feel. So you might want to go with your sun sign, your moon sign, your ascendant sign, or you might want to do the wild card thing, which is just a case of, where do I feel like the answer is for me in June? And it might pop into your head a completely different star sign to anything relevant to you, but that's where your message is, and trust that. So this is part 1 video so that you can make the most unique, have the most unique reading for June. So choose one from this Akashic reading, and then on the next pick a card video, choose whichever of the 12 star signs you want to work with. Sound good? Cool. So we're going to do 4 piles for this one. So just feel into, is your answer in pile number 1? Is your answer in pile number 2? Is your answer in pile number 3? Is your answer in pile number 4? So obviously just go with your intuition on this, and I'll see you over in message number 1. Oh, also Rupert's just sort of hanging around somewhere, so he might come and join us, he might not, I don't know, we'll just see. But anyway, see you in message number 1. Hi, message number 1. So this is everything the Akashic Records want you to know about it to do with June. So let's see. I don't know what to go for first, actually. Let's go for these cards. Right, so let's see, everything you need to know about for June in your Akashic Records. Okay, so the first card that we have is the Emperor. Okay, so very strong, very stable, very direct. Wow. Then we have the 8 of Pentacles. Definitely wants to know, this is all about work for sure. Then we have the Hermit. Okay, then we have, oh wow, 2 coming out. We have the Temperance, and then we also have in reversed the Knight of Wands. Okay, so the first thing that the Akashic Records wants you to know about June is, I mean, this card. It's I'm just coming out with money is king, cash is king, that's it, cash is king, that's what's coming out. And it very much just feels like this is very much a month for you to really gain so much autonomy and authority in the direction to do with, it isn't just, with this card as well, the Hermit, which is ruled by Virgo, and obviously the Emperor, and then the 8 of Pentacles, this is just all about you refining your craft and really owning your craft and your natural abilities. So if we were talking about this to do with astrology, this is very much like getting a huge amount of energy coming into your 2nd house, which is really encouraging you to basically sort of bring your own identity and your own unique authority and applying it to the natural gifts and abilities that you have, and blending this all together to create something that you put out in the world and is of value to many different people. That's completely exactly what this is all about. And that is just super clear with the Hermit, the Emperor, and the 8 of Pentacles. And as well, when I'm hearing this thing about cash is king, it's really kind of the feel that's actually coming with it. It's not so much even taking it literally, but it's very much kind of like this energy of, what would I describe it as? Bring a bit of playfulness into this working environment, this like career goal, this money goal, this business goal, whatever it is. bring playfulness into it, because it kind of feels like when I've got the Temperance here upright, but that came out with the Knight of Wands in reversed. I don't usually read this as this, but this is how it's coming out of the Akashic Records, so we're going with it. The Knight of Wands in reversed is saying that, look, this guy's having fun. This guy is totally having fun, but it's in reversed. And so it feels like that's something that's kind of you're missing, or that you might end up missing in June if you're not mindful. Particularly when we get the Hermit, so that Virgo energy that can be so focused on the details of stuff and needing stuff to be a certain way, and sort of really making their entire life on some level to do with work and service. And again with the Emperor, the kind of like the pressure of the responsibility to achieve something, or maintain achieving something, or achieve even more all of the time. And then the Eight of Pentacles, which is completely about somebody working. I just think you need to be careful that the balance doesn't just go all into work, all into career, all into goals, all into pursuing something that feels like you have to do this for some reason. Either it's because of a pressure that you've put on yourself, or it's because of some sort of purpose that you feel deep within you. Because again with the Hermit, and I don't know why I'm getting such an astrology vibe with this reading, because it's kind of like the Akashic Records is telling me to explain it very much in terms of astrology, so I don't know why this is, but we'll go with it. But yeah, I'm really getting the Virgo energy with this, and I think you just have to be really careful not to get bogged down too much in the day-to-day routines and sort of like the mundaneness of trying to consciously create whatever it is that you're trying to consciously create in reality. Do not forget Mr. Knight of Wands here, who, you know, has a lot of energy, and this energy needs to be directed in also things that lift the spirits, is specifically what I'm hearing. Do not neglect your spirit in June for the sake of achieving something, doing something, getting something done. This is really, really important, because I just really feel that as much as, let's say, I said at the very beginning about this is like, reminds me of a second house energy in your birth chart, so very much about creating something stable and strong that has endurance, that will last long term, that is where you use your natural abilities to create something that brings you income because it is of value to other people. I think it's just really, really important that you also remember the other parts of the second house in astrology, which is Venetian, because Venus rules the second house. So this Venetian energy is really important. Now, Venus loves the senses. She just loves things that make her feel amazing. And a bit like the Knight of Wands, in some ways I think he is a bit of a pleasure seeker, definitely, because once he gets bored he moves on to something else, which can also be like pleasure seeking in whatever way. And this is very much a Sagittarius energy, Sagittarius Jupiter energy, but it does feel and I suppose this is quite interesting, because I'm sure a lot of you might know that in June there's a really big alignment astrologically, which is Jupiter conjunct the North Node. That happens about every 7 years, and it's happening in the sign of Taurus. So Taurus rules the second house, how interesting. And then Jupiter is basically is the ruler of Sagittarius as well as Pisces, but this is Sagittarius. So I think for you guys, number one, I'd probably have a look in your birth chart and see where 2 degrees of Taurus is, because this is going to tell you where you're going to get this huge amount of good luck, good fortune, flow, purpose, etc., in June. But also, I just think it's really important, don't neglect the beauty to do with Venus. And obviously Taurus also rules the second house with Venus, and although Taurus very much is the Emperor in some ways and will work hard and will just get stuff done, Taurus also never neglects their senses, never. They enjoy the beauty in the moment of stuff, and actually this allows them to maintain, I think, their consistency and not get bored, because like Sagittarius energy can get a bit like in and out of stuff. It can flit in, and then when it gets bored it can flit out, or this kind of thing. Taurus really doesn't. Taurus manages to keep continually finding beauty in what it is creating, so that it's able to create something long term and just keep building on it, because it's forever seeing the beauty in what is already present around it. And I think this is something that's really, really important. Like I say, definitely with this Temperance energy here. Now let's just get a couple, which cards are there? I've got so many cool cards recently, I don't even know which ones to go with. Okay, let's go with these. These are a new set. So let's just get a little bit more on this. Oh wow, they didn't flick up, so I'm not going to go with it. We're going to keep shuffling. I do also think, because it's really, the Akashic Records is really getting me to explain stuff in terms of astrology, I do really feel like maybe it's worthwhile you just having a look at your astrology for June, because I would imagine it's quite significant for some of you that have chosen this pile one way or the other. And regardless, it is significant for everybody, 2 degrees in Taurus, because of this conjunction that happens like every 7 years or even longer, I can't remember, between Jupiter and the North Node. And they're both very expansive, they're both very purpose-driven, and they're both very, I think they're benefic, even though I think some in the Eastern astrology doesn't think that North Node is, the North Node is always, can be a bit of a trickster, which I'm not saying it can't be, because we can be blinded by purpose and so driven on something that we can become tunnel visioned and then we lose perspective. And I suppose that's something else. Actually, those words just coming out my mouth, and my guys are like, that's what you need to say. This is the thing, don't get so into work mode that you almost become tunnel visioned to do even with your own work. And you definitely get tunnel vision to do with stuff that's going off in your life. And again, Venus, because we keep bringing this up because it's important, Venus is very much a relating kind of energy, a relating kind of planet. And so this does mean it is really important to make sure you're nourishing the relationships that you have around you. It's really, really important, because again, it's on the deeper level of this second house, and on a very deep level to do with the Emperor. The Emperor is so powerful and has so much stability and almost so much material things that he owns, because his sense of self-worth is really, really high. Sense of self-worth and self-respect is super, super high. And the thing is, if you really have strong self-worth, it technically would mean that therefore you would recognise the value that other people also bring to your life, in the same way that you would internally recognise the value that you bring to life. It works both ways. And again, with this Temperance, just make sure you're balancing up on this. Definitely make sure you're balancing up on this, because it is really important. And I'm also hearing, actually, communication. There's something that somebody is going to say to you in June that's actually really important to whatever it is that you're spending a lot of time creating and being very purpose driven with. And actually, if you don't spend a bit of time on the relationship aspects of your life in June, you are potentially going to miss the conversation with this person. And this conversation is really, really important. But I feel a bit like the Knight of Wands in reversed. You might miss it for some reason. I'm just hearing that you might miss it because you're too tunnel focused on what you're focusing on. That even if this person says whatever this thing is to you, it's almost like you might hear it, but you don't synthesize it. So it's kind of like you didn't hear it because it means nothing to you, because it never got synthesized and integrated into you so that then you could apply it in your life. And this is really important, because again, the Hermit, Virgo, is very much about synthesizing information and also applying it for a purpose. And I really don't know why, but there's something, and I'm reading this intuitively, I just feel like there's a message from one cup to another cup. You see how there's these 2 cups here and there's water flowing between them. For some reason, I'm being told that this is like a communication. And because these cups is, usually the cups, one is gold and one is silver, so they're different sort of energies. This person, or this like perspective, is going to be a little bit different to yours. And again, that's why you need to be softened and valuing, I don't know, the people that are in your life in June, because one of them has got something very interesting to tell you that's actually going to help you change your perspective about something. And you need that change in perspective in order to go about whatever this is in a more efficient, effective way. Right, so now let's see what we have. We have the Botanist, Parenthood and Legacy. Oh wow, this really makes me think, by the way, that it's going to be an elder So the person that's going to give you this insight, I think, is potentially going to be an older person than you. Definitely like that. It's somebody that's in a different generation bracket to you, if that makes sense. So it means if you're a millennial, it's not going to be another millennial. Or if you're a baby boomer, it's not going to be another baby boomer. Think about it like that. But again, with the word legacy underneath, it is really important that you take on board what they're going to be saying, because it's going to help you build your legacy. And I would say literally the word legacy goes perfectly with the Emperor. So yeah, I think that is just something for you to be really mindful of. And then here we have the Musician, inspiration and gratitude. Again, you know, the inspiration, it makes me think of sharing ideas and sharing stories. So this also might come, this communication might also come in the form of somebody sharing something about their own life or their own experience in life or something like that. And it really helps you, it definitely helps you lighten up about something. And maybe it's almost like that lightness with how you're thinking, with how you're feeling, that is actually something that's really important. Because again, that sort of lightness, that kind of fun, jovial energy, that very Sagittarius, always positive, always optimistic, I'm hearing really strongly that this is an important energy for you to bring into June, with you working super hard on whatever it is and being very focused on whatever you're focusing on. Now, let me just see. I really just wanted to get these. I want to see how this works. These are Roald Dahl cards, so let's see which Roald Dahl card you get. Love Roald Dahl. And also, he's so fun. So much of his stuff is, although it's very insightful and I think it's very soulful, it's also very playful and very fun. And I think this is very much an energy, like I say, that you guys need to bring into June. Oh, interesting. So we have Roald Dahl going solo. Now, how interesting, because I said to you, I think an elder is going to come and give you some insight that is something that you need, and it's potentially going to be a story to do with an experience that they've had, and you need that. For me, going solo, this is a complete confirmation of that, because I don't know if any of you have read Going Solo, but this is very much about Roald Dahl's experiences of his youth. So actually, for some of you as well, if you feel so called to, why don't you even read that book? Because you might even find that insight is in that book. Because literally that book is exactly what we've just channeled out of the Akashic Records, about this communication that you need to hear from somebody that's older than you, in a different generation from you, that also shares a story of their experience. And it's going to help lighten you and make you feel more positive and optimistic, but it's also just going to give you something really useful to do with whatever you are creating. I absolutely love it when cards just come together like that. Now, last of all, I really want to use the dice. This is the astrology dice, so let's see what we get. Whoop! One sec, let me just get the other one. Okay, so I'm just going to roll this one again just so it's on the table. Okay, 8. So we have, wow, it's all coming together again in this reading. So we have Virgo, and obviously we've talked about Virgo with the Hermit energy here. Okay, so we have 8th house. That's an interesting house, because that's a house of deep, deep transformation. And then we also have, oh wow, and again we were talking about this, Venus. So, I think again, partly, okay, the summation of this in just a few words would be simply this. You need to have a transformation about the way that you see yourself doing your work, whatever that is. And it's definitely, it's a transformation, 8th house, to do with your own psychology. Oh, don't know why it's not focusing. To do with your own psychology. And I do think we're going to get that from insight from somebody that's more older than you and has a tale to tell you about something. And it's just going to change, almost like how you maybe depict struggling in some way. Not to say that you're struggling, it's not about that, but it's definitely about sort of there just being too much of a daily grind going off in some kind of level. And it really is to bring this more, again, we've got the Venus again, because it's all highlighting the same stuff that we've already said. And it's really to bring more of this playful, like loving, luxurious, sensual, beautiful, a kind of energy into your experience in June. And actually, again, if we just go back to the astrology, because for some reason it seems important for you guys, this really important conjunction that's happening, North Node in Taurus, conjunct Jupiter, you know, Taurus is ruled by Venus. And obviously we talked a lot about the second house, and Taurus and Venus rule the second house, which is very much about money, self-worth, income, you know, all of these kind of, but it's also pleasures. And I just can't emphasize enough how it's really important for you guys to enjoy your own senses of being a human being in June, like whatever that might be, whether it's like amazing food, amazing drink, a beautiful walk in nature, I don't know, reading a book that just really touches your heart, spending some time with loved ones, just maybe seeing the beauty and like the sky one day. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be, for sure. It could be the most pimping amazing champagne bottle in the most beautiful cut glass in the most incredible restaurant. Yeah, it can totally be that. It could also just be waking up early and just seeing the morning light crack through the whole sky, and just the feeling that it gives you. Or it could be when the sun just like bathes your face and it feels incredible. It's going to be different for all of you, but this is really, really important for something for you to be aware of. So I hope you enjoyed that quick snapshot reading. Remember to go on to the next video, which is going to be the horoscope one. Again, choose whichever you want to listen to on that. But I loved reading for you. Hopefully read for you soon. Have an amazing June, and definitely bring in pleasure, sensations, relating, all of these lovely things. Take care. Bye. Hi guys, so this is it for everybody that chose message number 2 for what the Akashic Records want to tell you guys about June. So let's see, what do I feel like going first with you guys? Okay, I feel like Oracle, we're going with these. For some reason every reading so far is different cards, but that's cool. I'm happy to go with whatever feels whatever. So let's see, first card out, I praise the goddess and the god. Oh, I like this. I'm getting this thing about temptation. You're being tempted by something. It's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just going to have that feeling of enticement is something that I'm picking up instantly about this. And then we have, I am forgiving. Oh, that's interesting. Let me just pull them all out for this one, actually. Then I have, I am peaceful. And the last one we have, I honour virtue. Okay, cool. So what I'm really getting with this instantly is, and this is very different from message number 1, I'm really getting that in June something is going to be tempting you, enticing you. And I feel like okay, so I need to go on a full spectrum of this because it's kind of different for everybody, basically. Basically, something is tempting you, and ideally, and this temptation isn't necessarily something that is, what would I say? It's something that, it's almost like you might be tempted to go down a pathway of an experience that you know the pattern of this, and you know the outcome of this pattern. If you get pulled into this again, you know the outcome, because the Akashic Records are saying you're going to get the same thing as you always get from this pattern. And it's kind of like you need to find a way to basically I don't want to say like rise above it, because that just sounds so, I don't know, I just don't like the word, the terminology of that, but it's more like finding a way to coexist with this tempting behavioural pattern. And it's not, you don't want to do, I'm hearing this really, really strongly, do not block it. Do not go into that spiritual stuff, which is all like, oh, my boundary, putting a boundary down, having nothing to do with it. You're into my boundaries. I love myself, so I'm creating a healthy boundary. Bang. Don't do that, because I'm hearing that that's not how you're supposed to be working with it this time. Because again, you're going to go into a polarity to do with whatever is this behavioural pattern, and that's going to keep this behavioural pattern charged. And because it's charged, it means the energy and the experience and the temptation is going to come back again. It's going to come again and again and again. And I think this is why we've got here, I am forgiving, and also I am peaceful. Because it feels like these are the energies that you need to bring into this behavioural pattern that June might stimulate you to go into. Now, I'm also hearing this, for some of you, this really isn't like a big deal. All it is that for you to change this behavioural pattern, it's actually going to bring something incredibly abundant, good luck, fortuitous, all of this kind of thing. And so it's not like the worst thing in the world if you re-go over this pattern, but it's just that something wants to get to you that's on the other side of this behavioural pattern, but it doesn't come with either you going into that pattern like normal or by you blocking that pattern. It comes by you coexisting with that pattern and therefore not having a charge to this behavioural pattern. And then basically it's almost like, you know that thing in The Labyrinth where she suddenly realises, the film with David Bowie in it, and I think Jennifer Connelly or something, and right at the end of the video she suddenly says something like, you have no power over me. And it's so powerful, and because she suddenly realises this person, the situation no longer has any power over her, the entire spell is broken. Now she is not blocking that person, she is not running away from that person, she is not going into conflict with that person. She's just realising that she has all the power in the situation, and so therefore it's up to her to decide how to play this, and she just wants to play it in a completely different way, and that's it, everything changes. But there's something about you realising that you have the power in the situation so that you don't do the same behavioural pattern, which is very much to do with a forgiveness of either yourself or somebody, although I'm actually hearing this is a forgiveness of yourself as well as somebody else, some other people, somebody else, as well as forgiving the whole experience too. This is really, really important. It's both of them. And it's going to bring a huge amount of peace. And then you see in this one here, I'm being told this really clearly, can you see in this picture here? So you see how she's got like that hourglass thing, the timing thing. It's just going to change something on your timeline really considerably, which in the long term is going to bring a huge amount of good fortune, and something that you've always wanted is going to happen as a result. I'm not saying that this is going to come quickly. For some people it will, for some people it won't, because time is different for everybody, but ultimately that is the pathway. It's going to completely overall change the direction that your life was going in, to do with something really quite substantial, because it's kind of like the intense energy that you're holding somewhere to do with this behavioural pattern, which has got set up from an experience with someone or some people that caused you to have some kind of charge, and almost caused you to get stuck in a certain mindset when this got created. It's that mindset that doesn't allow you to experience this abundant, amazing, wish-fulfilling thing that you want. Or it's almost like even if life is trying to give it to you, you either can't quite get it, or if you get it, you can't maintain it. It's something like that. And it's because almost like this pattern just needs to be, it's not even healed, it just needs to be synthesized. You just need to see it from a different perspective. And seeing it from a different perspective, it almost feels like you're going to see this from the perspective of an adult consciousness over the consciousness of the age you were when you experienced this, let's say, trauma, this difficulty, this not nice experience. And you really need to start seeing it from the age that you are at now, because that older consciousness is exactly the consciousness that's needed to go back in time into the memory and help upgrade your younger self to do with this whole entire experience, so you can break whatever is this pattern that you keep going round and around in. And it's on breaking that because it has no power of you anymore, that then everything changes. And I actually hear this, you know when it says, this one here says, I honor virtue, I'm actually hearing that this is what the universe is then saying to you. As a result of you breaking this pattern, it's like saying, I honor virtue, and a gift is coming with that. There's a gift coming. And as well, you know, when I see these 4 pillars around here, I just feel like it is something that will end up affecting all areas of your life positively, because it almost is showing me, like on a birth chart, it's going to affect your ascendant, your descendant, your midheaven, and your the nadir. And these 4 points in your chart are really powerful points. Whenever you have any personal planets or planets going over that point or retrograding over any of those 4 points, usually significant things happen. And it's, the Akashic Records is really saying this is the opportunity for you to really create a huge long-term shift in your timeline. And also, it's just something that it feels like is ready to happen now. And I think that you're even going to be quite conscious, a lot of you, of what this might even be. Now, let me just see, what other colours do we want? I'm going to go with... It feels like we should go for quite white energies for some reason. Because it feels like you're going to have... I don't know. I don't really know how to describe this. It's like a purity coming into you. It's almost like... Yeah, I don't know, just like a purity, like a detox thing is coming into you on some level. I'm hearing that we don't read anything reversed, so let's see. So we have Page of Pentacles. Nice. So this is like this new opportunity that I do believe is coming as a result of you working through this. Then we have the 9 of Wands. For me, this is just, again, confirming to you, don't try and block this out. Don't try and do that spiritual... I don't know if it's a bit of a spiritual bypassing thing or whatever, to be like, no, I'm putting up white boundaries, I'm putting up boundaries, I'm blocking it out, I'm not dealing with it. I don't know, seeing things as whatever this experience is, or this situation, or this person, or this people, don't polarize it, is what I'm hearing. Do not polarize it, because to polarize it is to cause separation. To cause separation is to still maintain a charge between you and the experience, or you and the person, the people, etc. And then with the being a charge, it means the temptation is always going to be there to keep re-echoing the same past old story. And then here, King of Pentacles. But you see, this is how I think you're going to end up. This is for almost everybody, if not all of you that have chosen this pile. I do think you're going to get to this place of the King of Pentacles to do with this experience or whatever it is, which is basically complete authority over it. So that this energy is kind of no longer relevant. It's turned upside down, is what I'm hearing. And then the King of Pentacles is going to come in with complete maturity, complete authority, autonomy, and basically take control of that entire behavioural pattern, and also the way that you've seen it, the way that you've experienced it, and it's going to make such a change. Now I feel like we just need one more card here, so let me just see. I feel like it should be, yeah, something different. Let's see with this. Whoop. So now we have the Herald, small regrets, longing. So this is interesting because, again, the words are telling me one thing and the picture is telling me something else. So the world is, I think it's with the Herald, small regrets, longing. You know what, if you do end up going back into this pattern, you know you're only going to regret going back into this pattern and playing it out in exactly the same way. And it ultimately is going to make you feel pissed off, because you will feel like, oh, fuck, I've gone and done it again. Or I've allowed myself to get riled that way. Or I've gone into that same sob story or that same poor me story or whatever it is. And deep down inside, you do know that that's not the way to resolve this. But you know, with the rabbit, for some reason I feel like the rabbit is an auspicious sign, because the rabbit in shamanic stuff is very much about fertility, and so fertility is very much about a new beginning, a new opportunity, and also fertility is very much a gift from the universe. It's something wonderful, and I do absolutely feel like that is the energy that's available for you guys in June. And there's a real possibility to do that and take hold of that, and it's really going to change a whole load of things. now what I'm going to do is I just want to get one more here. I got these Roald Dahl cards, which I love. So let's just have one card to help bring this all together. Let's see what we get. Roald Dahl, Danny the Champion of the World. That's such a beautiful book. I would, you know, I do really feel like whatever this situation is, it does completely go back to something about you and one of your primary caregivers, without a shadow of a doubt. And then there's something about that interaction or an experience or the relationship that developed in that way that has also meant that it set you up with how you sort of relate to other people in your life, from other relatives to friends to maybe even work people, bosses, employees, whatever. It kind of spreads throughout all of it. And to go back to the very inception, which obviously is the powerful relationship that you have with a parent, whoever is a parent to you, because it's different for everybody, or the primary caregiver, even if that was a sibling that really looked after you or whatever it might be. You know, there's something really important about looking at whatever this is from the age that you are now, the older you, looking back into the past, but not getting pulled into the mindset that you were when the experience was created when you were a lot younger, but going back into the past to bring your older adult self in. Because I do really feel like with the Danny the Champion of the World, this is a beautiful story about a father and son relationship, and ultimately there's so much love there and so much support. And this is the thing, I think there's something that's very loving and supportive about whatever happened in the past. And if you can find that nugget by seeing it from a higher perspective with the older you now, there's something very loving and supportive that can start to come into your life. And it's this, you know, whatever this is, this good luck, this fertility, this auspicious sign. So I hope that was helpful for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Very completely different to message number 1, that's for sure. And remember to look at your horoscopes for, you know, not Akashic Records, just your horoscopes with the tarot reading that I'll do in the video after this one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. So hi guys, this is for everybody that chose message number 3. So let's see what the Akashic Records want to tell you guys about June. Right, let's have a look. What cards are we going to start with? Yeah, we're going with these. Right, let's have a look. So far all the readings seem to be completely different, but let's just see. So the first card we have is, oh wow, wind. Okay, so something's building. Then we have, no freaking way, wind, and then we have storm. So something is definitely building. And then we have sky, but something's getting integrated, that's for certain. And the last card we have is crystal, and then something's getting manifested. Okay, so right off the bat, I feel like the Akashic Records wants you guys to know that June is really, really big. It's really, really big. And again, for this pile, it's coming back to something that got mentioned in pile number 1, which is, actually, I feel like it goes like this. Sorry, I'm just moving around because it's how the feels like it comes out. Which is, you want to see where, if you know on your birth chart, you want to go and have a look to see where the North Node and Jupiter are conjunct. It's at 2 degrees of Taurus, so see where 2 degrees of Taurus is in your birth chart and your natal chart in terms of the planets, what's going on around them, where those planets are, the transits basically. See which houses they fall into, because basically this happens only every 7 years, and it's a real fortuitous thing. It can really completely amplify good luck, happiness, destiny, purpose, fulfillment, all of these wonderful things basically. And it does really feel like there's something, whatever house that transit of Jupiter conjunct the North Node in Taurus, which is at 2 degrees, where that's falling in your birth chart in terms of that transit, is going to tell you a lot, I think, about something where there's going to be a lot of energy. So that's going to be different for all of you, and you'll need to look at that personally. But basically, when I see wind, I know that there's a big, rapid change occurring. and also something that has a lot of energy and a lot of like stimulus. I feel for some of you, there's something you've already been putting a lot of energy in. It's going to be building up almost to a climax, to the point where, I don't know, something gets completely integrated, and as a result, you get a physical result about something that's very, very tangible. So if you have been it's whatever really I think you've been putting a lot of energy into over the past 6 months, I'm hearing. So whatever you've been putting a lot of energy into over the last 6 months, it's going to build to a climax. And I do think in June it could be a bit hairy at points. Like you feel like you could be prone to highs and lows, to like fluctuations. You know how the wind can fluctuate. 1 minute it's bustly and then it calms down, and then the next minute it's bustly again. And then also with the storm, you know, there's that electromagnetic charge that occurs in the clouds. And I do feel like there's kind of be careful not to get overwhelmed by the energy that's going off in June, particularly the first part of June, the first 2 weeks or so, because I do feel like this is happening over the first 2 weeks, where there's a lot of, like I say, a lot of energy, there's a lot of charge with stuff, there's potentially a lot of polarity between stuff, like things seem like it's going one way, then it could flick the other way, and it could even just be your internal state. Your emotions are prone to be fluctuating, they're not stable in the beginning bit of June. And I think it's just because there's lots of things that could be going on, and things that are nearly getting created. They're nearly getting created in the beginning, but they haven't quite gotten to consolidated, or it seems like something's working and then it's not working, but in the end it's going to work completely. I'm just going to pull clarity for some of these cards, but I do really feel like this is an important one, Sky card, because with the wind and then the storm and then the sky, it feels like something needs to be reset. You're resetting something, and I think it's important to have this concept during June. You're resetting something, and whenever you reset something, sometimes it can appear like it might be going back to zero, but it's actually not. And also, you can also reset something, which means there's a complete change that happens as well. And you can also reset something so that you can almost integrate what's happened over the last 6 months, and then start to make a plan to go forward in a slightly new way, I'm hearing. But also, I'm getting so many things with this, I have to say, so it depends what you're into, because I do think for some people there's going to be an absolute manifestation of something that you've been working on for the last 6 months, and basically you're going to have that, it's going to either happen in June, or you'll find out in June that it is actually going to be created. Like there's something that becomes certain to do with whatever you've been trying to work on. And for others of you, I feel like this is, instead of something being created, it's more that you get a change of plan, because you get some awareness of something that happens over this month. Something gets integrated by an experience that you've had or something like that, and as a result you start to develop a different strategy, a different plan. But this different plan and strategy is exactly the plan and strategy that is going to get you the end result that you want. So really it depends where you're at in this journey as to which is the outcome. And you might find it might be certain things in one area of your life and then a different way in another area of your life. It can also be like that. But let's just see, which cards do I want? Let's just get a bit of tarot to confirm each of these, see if there's anything more. I'm hearing that we do read, oh wow, that came up right straight away. So that is Ace of Swords. Okay, so Ace of Swords with the Wind card. Okay, so a lot of you are going to be getting a new perspective, a new insight. Some of you as well, this is going to be a new perspective and a new insight because something physically changes. And others for you, it's just going to be purely, it's just a new insight on something. And the Storm card, oh God, they're all upright. Then we have Eight of Pentacles. So again, I do think there is potentially going to be some disruption in June about something that you are creating. But I think it's really important that you don't almost use the power of the storm to charge you up and energize you rather than break you up, if that makes sense. As in, don't let the storm pull you apart. Use the energy of the storm, use the energy of the turmoil, of the uncertainty, of the fluctuations in experiences or emotions in June. Use it to build your energy, not drain your energy. I'm hearing that that is really important. Like, harness the storm. And because I'm really hearing that whatever happens that might be a bit disruptive in June, it's really, really important. It's really, really important. So it reminds me a bit of a Pluto energy. Like, something might happen that's a bit disruptive, but it needed to happen, whether that disrupts your thought process about something. And because remember, disruption is a very innovative energy. You know, sometimes I hear some people that I talk to in my partner's business use the word disruptive in a really positive way, because they're all into innovation and tech, and they see something as being disruptive, as being very innovative, as breaking the status quo, as driving progression forward, driving creativity forward, that kind of thing. And that's the sort of energy that I do really feel like you need to harness with the energy in June. So remember that the disruptive energy is a creative energy. It's an innovative energy. And then with the Sky card, let's see what we get. Again, the right way up. So we have Two of Pentacles. Oh, kind of like this card. I've not seen this before. And again, so Two of Pentacles, it's interesting. I know that quite often the Two of Pentacles can be a card of somebody juggling two coins, and so it's a very unstable energy. The funny thing is with this, 2 is inherently a stable number because it's balanced. Pentacles are inherently stable because they're earthly, and this card with all of the squares are completely stable. Like, you can't knock a square, as it were. So again, this just makes me think that, like I said, the Sky card was very much about the integration about something. I do think whatever this thing is that you're going to integrate, it's going to bring a lot of stability into not only your life, but also the way that you're going to move forward. And I do think as well, the key is a bit like, you know, if you go in the eye of the storm, you're supposed to be able to find a lot of peace in the eye of the storm as the rest of the storm races around you. There's actually a quiet stillness potentially in the centre, in the eye of the storm. I do think it's about getting to that place here in this energy, in this disruptive energy, so that then you can almost create and manifest the stability when things start to calm down. Because what you don't want to do is have something that throws you off a little bit. And then when things calm down, you still have to spend time calming down from this energy. Rather than, if you can use the disruptive energy to build your energy, to strategize, to do whatever, then when things calm down, you're in a place to immediately implement something. And it's that quick implementing of something which I think brings a lot of stability, which then leads to the overall manifestation or change in plan or strategy, which is this card here. So let me just pull one more for that. God, all the readings have been so wildly different this time. Oh wow, Ace of Wands. So Ace of Wands and Crystal. I mean, I think this is completely and utterly saying this is a super positive outcome. Whatever it is that you're working on, whatever happens in June, no matter how intense it might feel at times, it is going to exactly what it is that you want. I think it's actually going to something better than what you want. And it feels like it's in some ways helping you start a whole new chapter. Because here, it just feels to me like this person is walking into a whole new chapter. But I think, yeah, the most important thing is, I think... Yeah, okay, so this is now going to be a bit... This is the energy about what you need to use with whatever this is to do with. It's this, and let me just try and explain it. It is whatever it is that you're trying to create. There's going to be quite a lot of intensity around it in June, because your emotions and how you think and feel about it is going to fluctuate a lot, because there's something about the external situation that's fluctuating a lot. And really what you need to do is, so that you can get into the eye of that storm and not get pulled into all of this chaotic energy, but keep your centre and stay grounded and stay in the best position to then implement something as soon as things calm down, but implement the thing that's going to make the difference that you want, is you need to early on see the bigger picture of the overall goal. So don't get obsessed with the goal that you want on a physical, tangible level. See if you can find more of the energetic soul perspective of that goal that you want, and then focus on, while still taking all the physical actions and everything that you need to do, just when things get very intense and you feel that you're losing your center a little bit with this storm energy and this wind energy, go back to the recollection of the sole reason or the sole purpose or the sole benefit or the sole perspective to do with this goal that will really help calm you down and not get you spun out and too concentrated on what is physically happening at the time. Oh, sorry, there's a bit of a helicopter going past, I think. Does that I hope that kind of makes some sense. I'm trying to see if I can give you an example. So it would be like, just give me one sec. It is like, I don't know why I'm being given this example. This seems to me bizarre, but I'm going to start chatting and see what comes out of my mouth as I say it. So let's just say you've got a goal that you wanted to, a fence got blown down in your garden between you and the neighbour, and it all got broken apart, and your goal is by the end of the month to have the fence up. But to get the fence up, you need to go into negotiations with your neighbour. Who's paying what? Who's having what? How high are we having the fence? Shall we have a different material? Well, who's paying for this? Who's paying for that? What's going to happen? Who's responsible? Do we share responsibility? You've got all of these small, irritating decisions to have to make and negotiations that you need to make with something outside of you. So you can't fully control the situation. So you're having to work with something outside of you, basically. And when it gets irritating to the point where maybe the neighbour doesn't get back to you for a bit, or then the neighbour says they don't want to have something that you want, or the neighbour says they won't pay quite what you want them to, instead of getting really irritated by the situation, you just spend a day or two thinking, I'm not going to respond, and I'm just going to think about how amazing it's going to be when that fence is actually up. Just the fence will make it feel like a private sanctuary for me and my partner and my kids or whatever in the garden. It's maybe going to be something that we can grow flowers up, and the flowers are going to look beautiful. I don't know, it's like focusing on something like that, focusing on the joyful end result of the thing that you want, when the thing that you want to try and create is getting a bit intense with you in some situation. Does this kind of make sense? Because there's no point in engaging in something with whatever you're trying to create when the storm is getting hammered. Because to try and create something when a storm is going off is just the thing where you get lightning, is what I'm hearing. And you don't want lightning in this situation. You need to wait for the sky to clear for you then to be able to implement whatever it is that you want. So the main thing is when it starts to get a bit, when you start to feel like, oh, I don't know, is the person will I get this flat that I want? Will the landlord agree to it? Will I get this new job? Will I get this new client? Will I get this new contract? Will I whatever? And then when it starts to get into a place when you can't really control the outside part of it because you're waiting on a response from something outside of you, let's say like the landlord or the new job or whatever it might be, and you're waiting, but you're waiting with all that intensity because you're desperate for the outcome to be a certain way. This is when you've got to drop into thinking about how amazing it's going to feel and why it's going to feel amazing when you experience whatever is the outcome. But also, it's not even just that. It can also be like focusing on the skills and the tool sets that you're using to create what it is that you want to create, and how amazing it feels to use those skill sets that you have to create what you're creating. So let's just say if you're an amazing homemaker, so you really want this new flat, and this landlord or this mortgage or whatever it is, it's taken ages to get back to you. So while you can't control it, you just suddenly start to have a look online about beautiful stuff that you'd love to put in a home, any home, because the stuff that you're looking at would look amazing in any home. You start to think about maybe how it will feel, maybe what colour themes that you want. Then you maybe start to think about how it'll be so nice to have a new place where you can have all your family around for Christmas. Then you start to think about your family and spending time with your family. Do you see what I mean? You kind of need to control your thoughts and channel them in such a way so that essentially it builds you energy. It builds you energy because it starts to focus on the amazing results of the outcome that you want, and at the same time it starts you focusing on the great gifts and abilities that you naturally have to do with whatever it is that you're trying to create. So this way you're kind of building power two ways, both internally to do with your perspective of your gifts and abilities, and externally to do with the pleasure and the luxury of what it is that you're going to experience. Now I really can't say it any better than that. Now with you guys, I'm getting that we just roll the dice, so let's see. Okay, oh well, so we have Libra. Then we have is it sixth house. Oh, yeah, there we go. And then we also have the moon. Okay, so with this, what I'm really getting is it's definitely about trying to find balance and harmony in your day-to-day routine so that you feel emotionally stable regardless of what is happening in your life in June. I think this is really important. So find balance and harmony in daily routines, in things that make you feel good. Like, let's just say when things are getting quite intense, if you're somebody maybe like me, I feel great when I go to hot yoga, so I would look to build in that routine of doing hot yoga, just making sure I'm definitely doing it during June, because I know it balances and harmonizes me. It gives me a routine that builds my energy, and the moon, it makes me feel great. So fill in the blanks for what this would be for you, but this is something for you I think that will really help you get to this place here with the balance and the stability and the integration of stuff, so that then you can basically literally have the manifestation of this whole new experience that's coming into your life as a result of something that you've been working on for the last 6 months. So remember, even think about it now. What is it going to be for you that brings balance and harmony, which is as sort of more of a daily routine, a weekly routine, something that makes you feel good, that makes you feel healthy. Because sixth house isn't just about daily routines, it's something that makes you feel healthy. It's also, and this is where we need little Rue. Rubes, we need your help, Rue. Anyway, Rue's probably like, oh my God, please leave me alone, I'm chilling. But anyway, pets is also another thing. Something that makes you feel great, makes you feel emotionally fulfilled. So yeah, have a think about what that might be. And this is what I'm hearing from the Akashic Records for you. But I do want to emphasize this is amazing. I love how you have the manifestation of a completely new pattern, something that you've been working on, by the end of the month, or at least by the end of the month, you know this is definitely going to be happening. So let's say if it's something to do with moving into a new place, you know that you've signed the contract by the end of June, even if you haven't moved into the place. Or some of you might have signed the contract and you're moving into the place in June. Or do you see what I mean? Whatever it is to do with a job, a relationship, I don't know what it might be, but it just feels super positive in the end. But there is a little bit of a disruptive energy, but you need the disruptive creative energy to get this new pattern with whatever this is. But you need to know how to work with it, and you need to work with it in this type of way, I'm hearing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Definitely look out for the next pick a card type thing, which is your horoscopes for June, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Hi guys, so this is everybody that chose message number 4 for what the Akashic Records want to tell you to do with June. So every card has been so different so far, so let's see what's going to happen for you guys. Which cards are we going to go with first? I really don't know. Let's go with these. Okay. So let's see what we get. So pile number 4, June. Well, look. So we get, oh wow. I can never say this word, but this is basically that thing where something's got broken, but then you mend it together and you mend it with gold thread, so it looks even more beautiful than what it was before. Love that energy. And then we have mask. Okay, and then we have involution. And then I just want one more. And then we have discernment. Interesting energy. Okay, so instantly what I'm feeling is maybe a lot of you that have pulled this pile, you're on a journey, or you're on this thing about it's really important that you find a purpose and a direction in life, or you really just want to be your true self. You desperately just want to be your true self. And it's almost like there's something really spiritually that is pulling you to be whoever it is that is you, regardless of what society says, regardless of what the status quo is, whatever. It's just you're feeling this real pull to just be you. No matter how ordinary or extraordinary or any part of whatever you are, it's just time for you to really, I think again, it's this thing about seeing yourself as something seeing yourself in a new light, which is, I'm not even going to use the word beautiful, it's mesmerising. It's about seeing yourself in a mesmerising light. It's completely what I get with all of this, to be honest. I really couldn't say it but much more than that. And I think as well, it's very much about, it's important for you to focus on how you feel about your life, how you feel about yourself, but also focus on what you think about your life and what you think about yourself. I think all of these are really important, because with this discernment energy, it kind of feels like, I feel like quite a lot of you guys have, for quite a while, you're just trying to find, I guess you want a bit of like The Alchemist. I don't know if you've ever read The Alchemist, that book by Paulo Coelho. I can never say his name, I'm dyslexic, but you know, it's called The Alchemist. It's a really famous sort of spiritual book. And this person, the main character, is on a journey, and they're on a journey to basically discover themselves, I would say. And I feel like you're on this pathway, or there's something that happens for you guys in June, which is very much, it's going to uncover something about yourself to yourself. And I think as well, like, it's really important that you are completely open at this time. In June, I think it's really important to have a really open, kind of flexible mindset to do with yourself, to do with your life, to do with other people, to do with other people's life, to do with all sorts of stuff. Just be flexy is what I'm hearing. I don't know why I'm hearing that, but I'm just hearing it's really important for you to be really flexible, and don't hold anything as a certainty. Don't hold any fundamentals, like don't have a really strong fundamental belief or feeling or action or anything like that in June. It feels like there's something good if you can stay loose and flexible to do with things, because it just feels like you're on this feels like a really deep internal transformation that you've been on for a while. And I've got a feeling that in June, I don't know, you're just going to start to just see yourself in this whole new light, in this mesmerising kind of light. And I do feel like you've done quite a bit of healing or soul searching in the past, and as a result, something in June again is giving you this sort of energy, which is like, I think it's this Japanese culture thing where if you break a vase, then mend the vase, but mend it with gold, so it's even beautiful than before it broke. And that, I really think, is like a key concept for you guys in June, to do with you, to do with your life, to do with other people, and to do with other people's life. But it does feel like, it feels like there's a lot of stuff that you are going to be working through on a internal level in June, definitely. Let's see what else we get. Which cards should I go for? Let's go for this. So, let's see. So we have sorrowful. So even though we've come out with sorrowful, I just think that this is stuff from the past. I think stuff from the past that you have felt has been broken within you, within your life, within an experience, within other people. You're not going to see it in that way anymore. You're going to see it in a whole new light. It's like, again, the mask is coming off to do with the way that you've been experiencing something. And as a result, you have a whole new outlook, which is very astute. I feel like you're going to become much more aware of other people's psychology and what motivates them and what drives them, and also yourself. And you do that because I think you've integrated something that has caused you a lot of sadness in the past. It might not even be that anybody's realised that you were sad about something, but deep down inside you'll know that you were sad about something. You'll know that you felt a bit lost or isolated or lonely. Even if you had loads of people around you, it really didn't matter. But it just feels like all of that is changing in June because, again, of this energy. Yeah, and then you see here we have satisfied. And then here we have awakening. I love these cards because they're actually very easy to read because they just come up the right whichever way, and then that is the words that it is. But again, it feels like a big integration of something that gave you a real deep sadness deep down inside, and it'll be different from all of you, but you're coming out in a completely new way, and you feel incredibly, I think you're going to feel incredibly liberated in June. It feels like June is going to be a really, really good feeling energy for you. And I know this might sound bizarre because it's not really coming up in these cards, but I'm just getting the visions of you actually being really quite sociable in June as a result. It's like you feel like you can come out of like your shell, you can come out of your metaphorical like cave, as it were, and you're kind of being reborn in a new way, and you're just so much lighter as a soul because you've integrated this sadness with whatever it is. But at the same time, not only have you integrated sadness, so you feel a lot lighter as a soul, but also it's really given you a powerful understanding about human beings, about yourself, about life, and also about how to read people and read situations. And I'm hearing that this is something that's going to be really powerful, specifically by the end of this year, by the end of 2023. So that's going to be different for all of you. Now let me just pull, because this is quite a straightforward reading actually. There isn't really too much that I need to say on this one. But let's just pull one of these. These are these Roald Dahl cards that I love. Anything to emphasise what we've said. So we have Roald Dahl, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and 6 more. Yeah, I wonder if, I think it might release a whole load of creativity for you guys. I just feel like a whole new level of potential is going to happen. And actually, you guys remind me as if like it's got this real Jupiter kind of feel. Like life's suddenly going to start to feel a lot more expansive. Life's going to feel much more sunny, much more lighter. And I think you can take that energy into the next 6 months. Oh, I think I just heard little Roops move. Let's get Rupert. I think he wants to come in. Hey, Roo. Hi, Roo. Come and say hi to everybody on message number 4. Here's little Roops. Whoop! There's the cards, Roo. Take a seat, Roops. There you go. Exactly. So, look at this. Rupert's joined your reading. He hasn't joined any other reading. Have you, Roo? I could just hear you making noises like you wanted to come in and say something. But this is the thing. I think it's really about you. It's really about you. Just you're embracing who you are now, and you're feeling more confident than ever and more assertive than ever. You're being very kind of realistic about everything, and like you're aware that we all are human, we all have flaws, we all have this and that and the other, but it's actually a beautiful thing. It's not a difficult thing. You just feel, again, to have satisfied and awakening. It feels really joyful, this sort of energy that you've got. And I tell you one thing, with Rupert coming in this reading, Rupert for me is I just smile all the time when I'm with Rupert. Don't I, Roo? You just make me laugh loads as well. Just you actually being there is amazing. And it feels like this is the sort of energy that's coming into your life, and it really does start from June. I just want to pull. Let's do some dice, Roo. Roo, blow on it. Blow on it. Yeah, blow on it, Roo. For a little good luck. What have we got, Roops? So we've got Saturn. And then we have Taurus. And then we have 2nd house. Oh, nice. So, okay, yeah, right. Taurus and 2nd house. Taurus rules the 2nd house, basically. And actually, I'm not reading Saturn as restrictive. I feel like with the Saturn, like you've passed a test. You've passed some kind of test. You've integrated something within you. You've become aware of something within you, and now everything is starting to change. And Taurus is very sensual, it's very luxurious. 2nd house is all about money, but it's also about self-worth, and it's about using and understanding what your true gifts are to create something unique into the world that you can provide sustainability to you and other people. So this just feels like a really positive reading, and I really just love this. I've never actually read this story, so I don't know what this story is about, but the feeling that I get is the wonderful story of Henry Sugar. Well, just the words alone said that it sounds like this person has had an exciting, interesting life, full of colour and very dynamic. And I actually think that what I'm hearing from the Akashic Records is that is something that's very relevant to you guys, actually, because you are something about you that is really unique. But because you have also had to go on a bit of a soul searching, it's developed like the depth of your character. And my guides are saying it's like a full-bodied red wine that's maybe like 30 years old. It's like it's so enriched with flavour because of the time period. And I feel like there's something like that with you. Not that you're old or young, that's not relevant, but just the fact that it just feels like you're becoming fully embodied. Because again, I'd say that's quite a Taurus second house thing, to become fully embodied and fully integrated within your life. And that is the sort of energy that I feel like is coming through for you in June. And actually, this is like you, isn't it, Rue? I'd say you're fully embodied, wouldn't you? I'd say that your life is wonderful. Honestly, Rupert's like a little celeb. We walk around, everybody knows his name, everybody wants to take pictures, everybody wants to stroke. It's true, isn't it, Rue? You've just got this wonderful life, like Henry Sugar. It is, isn't it? And I do feel like this is something that's coming into you guys, particularly over this next 6 months. So I hope you enjoyed that reading. I'm so pleased little Rue came on the video for you guys. Let's put a little flower on you, Rue. He hates it when I do stuff like this, but it looks so cute. Sorry, there it is. Anyway, make sure that you look at the next pick of cards. That is all just going to be for your horoscopes for June, and put it all together. And that's just bye from me and Rue. Take care. Bye. You're right, Roops.